What up, guys? Now to just self-determination. So, this is my recap of the Errol Spence Sean Porter fight and some of the criticism that has gone around after the fight. I want to say this again, and I cannot stress this enough. Please stop disrespecting Sean Porter and his fighting ability and his skill set. Sean Porter is a fucking beast. You know, I think I understand why people hate on Sean Porter. You know, however, stop hating on this dude, man. This dude did an excellent job in that fight. Sean Porter did exactly what the fuck he was supposed to do in that fight. Okay? And stop sleeping on Errol Spence's skills, man. How I, I want to address some things. First, I want to address what John David Jackson said. I listened to his interview. I think it was with Fight Hype. John David Jackson basically said that he believes Errol Spence was exposed in that fight. He was exposed to the body. And all I'm trying to understand is, what in the fuck is John David Jackson talking about? How exactly was Errol Spence exposed to the body? I mean, please. I'm not saying that Errol Spence was never hurt in the fight. You know, there were times where he backed up, in the fight, but he never appeared to be hurt. He never appeared to have his knees buckled. I just didn't see that. And so far as being exposed to the body, I think him and Sean Porter did fucking excellent inside work in that fight. They both were beating each other's bodies up. They were both beating each other's bodies up. But John David Jackson, now I respect John David Jackson as a fighter, as a trainer. I respect that dude, man. But it seems to me like you know how when a person, when you ask them a question right on the spot, and I could see him. He may have trained somebody who fought Errol Spence or Sean Porter, so he may have been looking at it more of he may be looking at the situation as more of a competing coach as opposed to an objective observer, right? He just seemed his criticism just seemed rushed. It was really kind of almost incoherent. Really, it really didn't make sense because I haven't heard anybody say anything about Errol Spence being exposed to the body. But what I do believe is that to say that Errol Spence was exposed in that fight is to sleep on Sean Porter. It's like people was not expecting Sean Porter to do what he does in every fucking fight, which is make every fight grueling and make every fight a fucking dog fight. Sean Porter does that in every single fucking fight that he fights. You guys just saw the picture of Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman. I'm gonna go back to those cats because both of these dudes were very critical. Now, first, Danny Garcia. What I'm trying to understand is this. Danny Garcia saw that fight, and he came to the conclusion that he could beat Errol Spence based on the performance that Errol Spence had against Sean Porter. And now he wants to fight Errol Spence. Errol Spence has 2 belts. So I know Danny wants to fight Errol Spence because Errol Spence has 2 belts now. But I'm going to tell you straight up and down, I don't think Danny Garcia can beat Errol Spence. He's just not athletic enough. He does not have the footwork. Plain and simple, he does not have the athleticism. Among other things, he can punch. He has an iron chin. Danny Garcia can fight. But he doesn't have a full set of tools that he can utilize in the Errol Spence fight that Sean Porter had. Now, I want to make this contrast. Errol Spence's performance against Sean Porter, I think, was one of the most impressive outings against Sean Porter because people usually don't stand in the pocket and bang with Sean Porter. They usually cut and run after a while. And I don't even like the term running in boxing when you're trying to avoid punches. I don't like using that term, but Sean Porter makes you fucking run from him. Danny Garcia was on his motherfucking bike, backpedaling like a bitch. He made Keith Thurman backpedal too. But let's just focus on Danny Garcia right now. Contrast. Let's compare the Danny Garcia fight versus Sean Porter with the Errol Spence fight versus Sean Porter. Yeah, Sean Porter landed more punches on Errol Spence than anybody else has ever landed on Errol Spence. But Errol Spence fought Sean Porter's fight. and he did it intentionally. While people say he got dragged into that fight, the man said in the press conference leading up to the fight, I am prepared to battle Shawn Porter. He was prepared for a dogfight. He was prepared to be in the trenches with Shawn Porter, going toe to toe. He was prepared for that. He didn't say, the plan is to stick and move and just outbox him and stay on the outside. Errol Spence didn't say, him or Derrick James never said that was their game plan in the fight. Their plan was to go in and beat Shawn Porter at his game. He won't make it a rough, rugged fight, and I'm ready for a rough, rugged fight. How in the fuck was Errol Spence exposed in a fight that he told you he was going to fight? Please explain that to me. And Danny Garcia, you lost a unanimous decision to Shawn Porter. And I gotta tell you, I just recently watched that fight again. Danny Garcia did not do as well as he think he did in that fight. He beat you in that fight. Yeah, Danny Garcia got off some good shots. He got off some really good punches. He clocked Shawn Porter a couple of times. Shawn Porter manhandled Danny Garcia in that fight, man. That fight wasn't even close. Errol Spence and Shawn Porter was close. The Shawn Porter, Danny Garcia fight, bro, that shit wasn't close. It was a unanimous decision for Shawn Porter. I suggest you guys watch that fight because Shawn Porter beasted Danny in that fight. I'm not saying he just dog walked Danny. I'm not saying that. But Danny Garcia at times in that fight seemed a bit overwhelmed in that fight. He seemed a bit overwhelmed. So, again, I'm trying to understand. He can't possibly think he did a better job against Shawn Porter than Errol Spence. There's no fucking way in the world he did. Keith Thurman has some shit to say too. He said he beat him in a more cleaner, a more concise fashion. He said something to that effect. And I gotta tell you, I'm calling bullshit on that too. Now, mind you, I like Keith Thurman too. I've rooted for Keith Thurman ever since he started making his name in the boxing world, But, and this has nothing to do with it, but you say you beat Shawn Porter in a cleaner, more decisive fashion. I gotta be honest with you, man. The way I scored that fight was close as fuck. That fight was close. If Shawn Porter if that would have been a draw, I would not have been mad. If Shawn Porter would have got the decision in that shit, I would have said, let's get the rematch. You know what I'm saying? That was a close fight. That fight was a lot closer than what Keith Thurman is trying to make the fight out to be. I just watched it. I've been up since fucking 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I've been up since 4 o'clock in the morning. I watched that fucking fight from start to finish. Keith Thurman and Shawn Porter. He says he beat Shawn Porter in a much more concise fashion than Errol Spence. You got cut for the very first time in that Shawn Porter fight. He cut you with a punch. Not elbows, not forearms, not the laces of the gloves, not headbutts. He cut you with a punch for the first time in that fight. Right? He hurt you to the body, and it looked like you almost shitted on yourself. He had you backpedaling like a motherfucker. And people talk about Kell Brook. Kell Brook did hold Shawn Porter a lot in that fight. It was a tactic, sure. He did hold a lot. Keith Thurman held a lot in that fight too. It wasn't as blatant as what Kell Brook did, but Keith Thurman held on quite a bit in that fight, especially in those last rounds. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, now he did clock Shawn Porter, and Shawn Porter held on. He rocked him. He buckled his knees. He didn't drop Shawn Porter. Errol Spence dropped Shawn Porter. I think they both were cut in that fight too, but for Keith Thurman to say that his performance against Shawn Porter was better than Errol Spence's, I beg to differ. Now, Porter, Thurman, Porter, Garcia, both of these were good fucking fights. These are good fights. These are fights that I will watch again and again and again. You understand? These were really good fights. But both of these dudes are being awfully critical of Errol Spence in that fight. And I believe, in my opinion, that Errol Spence did better against Shawn Porter than both of those dudes did against Shawn Porter. You understand what I'm saying? Errol Spence held his ground in that fight. He stood in the middle of the ring for the majority of the fucking fight. You understand? Shawn Porter didn't force him backwards. There were times where Errol Spence took some steps backwards and found himself close to the ropes and shit. But there were plenty of times where he spun Shawn Porter they were spinning the shit out of each other. But out of the 3 fights, I believe Errol Spence did the better job, the better work against Shawn Porter than either Danny Garcia or Keith Thurman. And in my opinion, Errol Spence beats he beats Danny Garcia and he beats Keith Thurman. Because remember now, neither Danny Garcia nor Keith Thurman wanted any smoke with Errol Spence. I think Danny Garcia got put up to jump into the ring as a distraction so people won't be talking about Errol Spence fighting fucking Manny Pacquiao, because Manny Pacquiao don't want that work. Keith Thurman just came from a long-ass layoff and just got his ass kicked by fucking Manny Pacquiao. Just got his ass whipped by Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao had a feeling that he could beat Keith Thurman. Manny Pacquiao don't have that same feeling about Errol Spence. I'm just saying. And again, this is no shade to Keith Thurman or Danny Garcia. I like both of these cats. I'm just saying, they did not do as well against Sean Porter as they think they did. They did not do as well against Sean Porter as Errol Spence. I believe Errol Spence fought the better fight against Sean Porter because he fought Sean Porter's fight and fucking won. He fought his fight. He fought Sean Porter's fight and won. I think if Errol Spence would have fought the way he fought against Mikey Garcia, I think he would have won a unanimous decision. But to say that, I mean, for these two dudes to have such criticism, John David Jackson say that Errol Spence was exposed to the body. When? Please explain that to me. Exposed to the body how? What was exposed about Errol Spence? If anything, his fucking grit was on display. How tough he actually is was on display. Because who else fights Sean Porter like that? Nobody goes into the ring with Sean Porter and fights his fight. And neither one of these dudes, he took fucking Danny Garcia's belt, and Danny Garcia didn't want that motherfucking rematch. Keith Thurman didn't want the fucking even though he won, he didn't want the rematch. And I'm sure Sean Porter and Kenny Porter wanted that rematch, wanted that work again. I mean, come on. I think, in all honesty, I know Errol Spence wants that Manny Pacquiao work. You know what I'm saying? He wants that Terrence Crawford work. But I have a good feeling that we'll get Spence Porter to, of course, you know, after his recovery. He's going to be out of boxing for a little while. So I would like for Errol Spence to focus on recovery. He's going to have to vacate his titles. He's actually going to have to start over from scratch because he's going to be out for a while. He's going to have to vacate those titles. And I can see Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia and Sean Porter and Manny Pacquiao all chomping at the bit to get their hands on those titles. So we might get some pretty good matchups coming up to see who's going to get those belts if Errol Spence may have to vacate. But again, I just want to reiterate because I respect the fuck out of Sean Porter and I respect the fuck out of Errol Spence. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know what it takes to fight the way Sean Porter does. A lot of people do not understand what it takes to be able to have the stamina and endurance to fight the way Sean Porter does. Not everybody can do it. That's why everybody doesn't do it. It takes a special type of motherfucker to fight that way. I really would like to see people stop disrespecting Sean Porter, man, because the dude is a hell of a fucking athlete. He's a hell of a fighter. And I really like to see people stop disrespecting both of these dudes, Spence and Porter, for that fight. That fight was one for the fucking ages, man. That was a classic battle. That's what the fuck boxing fans have been missing. Two dudes who were at their prime, at the height of their fucking careers, battling and going at it. Sean, I'm sorry, but Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia are not doing that. I'm sorry, but that last few, come on, I don't want to diss these dudes and bash them too much, but all I'm saying is for y'all two dudes to have avoided Errol Spence and avoided a rematch with Sean Porter as much and as long as y'all have, you guys have been awfully critical in a situation where you guys didn't do as well as Errol Spence did. Again, Danny Garcia got lumped the fuck up in that fight. That pressure was on. He didn't do as well as he think he did. He did good in that fight, but to think that he did better than Errol Spence, get the fuck out of here, bro. He's smoking that good. And Keith Thurman, too, like, come on, bro. Seriously? You did well in that fight. Keith Thurman landed some good fucking shots. That left hook was on point in that fight. I'm telling you, he was landing some good shit against Sean Porter. However, Sean Porter was tearing his body out the motherfucking frame. Keith Thurman didn't do a whole lot of work on the inside with Sean Porter. He covered up and waited and tried to wait out the storm. Now, there were times where he would flurry, but he wasn't going back and forth. He wasn't going toe-to-toe with Sean Porter like Errol Spence, man. He was trying to avoid that work on the inside as much as he possibly could. When he got backed into a corner, literally and figuratively, he would fight his way out. Keith Thurman ain't gonna pump. So that's all I got to say about that, man. I just wanted to address. I've been wanting to address this for quite a few days now. I just didn't want to just keep hammering away at the Spence Porter situation. But these dudes didn't do as well as they think they did in that fight, man. They did well. In all honesty, I'm not gonna say Sean Porter won the Keith Thurman fight, but after watching it again and again and again, I gotta tell you, Sean Porter did a lot better in that fight than I originally gave him credit for. He did way better in that fight than I originally gave him credit for. You understand what I'm saying? So, hey, if Sean Porter had Manny Pacquiao power, or just a half a punches difference in power, that would have been a completely different fight, bro. It'd have been a completely different fight. Because I don't think Sean Porter has Errol Spence's punching power. And we know Errol Spence is a monstrous body puncher. How do you see the Keith Thurman Errol Spence fight turning out? You know, people say weak to the body. I don't like the term weak to the body because if anybody gets hit with the right punch in the right way, your fucking guts are gonna cave in on you. You're gonna get the wind knocked the fuck out of you. I don't believe in that whole weak to the body shit. You know what I'm saying? There are dudes who are more on point with, you know, with taking the shots and tightening their stomach, their ab muscles up so that it can absorb more of the blow. Because there's a way to take good body punches and not be and not be overly hurt. When you get caught off guard, I would say when you're inhaling and exhaling is a good time to punch somebody in the stomach. And I think Keith Thurman gets caught in between inhaling and or exhaling. He gets caught and boom, he gets hurt to the body real bad because Louis Collazo fucked Keith Thurman body up. Fuck Keith Thurman body up. Yeah. Keith Thurman almost lost to Louis Collazo. And Louis Collazo is no chump. So that's all I got, man. I'm gonna cut the video now because I can go on and talk about this shit forever. But I just want people to give these dudes the props that they deserve. That was not a bullshit fight. It was not a weak fight. It was not two suckers in the ring. You know what I mean? Fucking taking windy walks, holding hands and shit. These are two dudes in that bitch battling. They went to fucking war. Errol Spence fought a better fight against Sean Porter than fucking Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman. While they were both still good fights, I know I'm reiterating this again, while they were both good fights, because I wanted to be clear to people that I'm not sleeping on those performances like they're sleeping on the Spence Porter performance. They were both good fights, but they did not do as well as they think, in my opinion.